Well, night one is over, and oh my god, there's so much to get pissed about tonight. This is your Monday Night Raw review for the first night of the Superstar Shakeup, where Raw takes from SmackDown before SmackDown takes from Raw. And NXT, I guess, too, because WWE and Vince McMahon cannot help themselves from hurting and taking from NXT. The NXT Tag Team Champions were called up tonight. Not the War Raiders, not Hanson, not Woe, Victor and Ivar. The Viking Experience is their names now. Are you fucking kidding me? This is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Vince McMahon just kills and destroys what is not broken. There is nothing wrong with Hanson and Rowe, the War Raiders. Oh, they got War in their name. That's going to be bad for the kiddies. Fuck that. War Raiders. They will not be, from here on out, ever mentioned as the Viking Experience. Not Vika or Avor. They are Hanson and Rowe, the War fucking Raiders. No, none of this Viking Experience bullshit. When this rant is over, no fucking name. That name will never be on here. Period. That is fucking ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. On top of that, they came up to from NXT. They are on Monday Night Raw because when they made their debut, the title card was in the Raw format, so they are on Monday Night Raw. They are the NXT Tag Team Champions, and the NXT Tag Team Championships were nowhere to be found. Obviously, this is a last-minute decision because Hanson and Rowe, well, at least Rowe's Twitter page still has him as Rowe. He hasn't changed his name. It still says War Raider and all that on his Twitter feed. So this is obviously something that was booked this week. Absolutely stupidity. There was no reason. You just called up Heavy Machinery in January or December, and you haven't used them for anything. You have... Oh, like, there's people wanting to say the Undisputed Era should come up. Did you see why they shouldn't bring up the Undisputed Era? Did you see what happens? Again, they are, from here and forever, until I fucking say so, the War Raiders. Anytime they're on, they are the War Raiders. I don't give a shit what anyone else says. This was fucking stupid, and this just killed the entire vibe of the entire show. I will say having the Superstar Shakeup in Montreal probably was a good idea because the crowd is lively. It wasn't a dead crowd. The crowd came out to actually show this thing support. We did see a lot of players from SmackDown come to Raw. We did, I said, the War Raiders came from NXT. 205 Live also had one member from It Pilfered, which we'll get to in a second, which I was calling for back when Mustafa Ali was sent to SmackDown or was put on SmackDown, that this guy should be on Raw, and I would like to see him versus Seth Rollins, then for the Intercontinental title, now for the Universal Championship. So many different things. And we also had the Iconics lose to a makeshift team of Bayley and her partner from SmackDown in 2 minutes. You took the titles off of Bayley and Sasha Banks, gave them to the Iconics, and they lose in less than 2 minutes. And you wonder why Sasha Banks is pissed. You wonder why Sasha Banks tried to quit the weekend of WrestleMania. Anybody who calls Sasha Banks an entitled bitch after what the Iconics have done already, you are a fucking idiot, and you are somebody who's probably just been watching for like the last year or so and doesn't see what this woman has gone through her entire main roster career, from having 4 Raw Women's Championship title reigns be only like a week and a half or so. So anybody who sits there and says that she is entitled, go fuck yourself, because Sasha Banks has been through a lot, and she's been pretty much misused, miscast, and thrown to the wayside. No, she was not on the show. They even had a backstage segment where Bayley was trying to get a hold of her on the phone or something and couldn't get a hold of her or whatever, leading to the non-title match between the Iconics and Bayley and her partner later on. I knew it was going to be a non-title match because tomorrow night, Paige is teasing that we're going to see another tag team, a women's tag team from NXT, pretty much coming to the main roster, which of course is one or two options instead of be option A. Option A is the Sky Pirates. Option B is Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne. And I'm telling you what, if it's Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne, there is no hope for this company. No hope. Stephanie McMahon started the show, blah, blah, blah. We had Aleister Black, Ricochet, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins versus the War Raiders in the Revival. This I expect to be the last night Aleister Black and Ricochet are on the same side. For the simple fact is, it's time to break these two up. I thought it was going to happen last week, but I forgot today is Monday Night Raw, and since these guys have been on both brands, they can have one more time as a tag team before they break them up. One stays on Raw, and tomorrow night one stays on goes to SmackDown. We'll have to wait and see. Speaking of one more time, and towards the end of the show, and it's on the Twitter page's main screen background thing, or whatever that header picture is. WWE is advertising a Shield one last round or something, one last time for one last round this Sunday on the WWE Network. So if you want to see the Shield for a final time, I don't know what that actually means. Maybe it's a documentary thing of everything leading up to Dean Ambrose leaving. That is happening this Sunday, and of course, until his contract is up, which I guess is at the end of the month, Dean Ambrose is going to be mentioned on TV any way they can, and they're going to try and milk as much as they can for Dean Ambrose. Now, if it's a house show thing, that would be one thing, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I also had Finn Balor versus somebody from SmackDown, which I figured was going to be coming this way. We also had Elias in the ring being interrupted by somebody from SmackDown. Bob Roode and Chad Gable versus a tag team that I honestly predicted coming from SmackDown to Raw yesterday on that 5 for 5 preview. Predictions that I did, 5 for Raw, 5 for SmackDown. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go check that out. We had a moment of piss with Sami Zayn just having the Montreal crowd eat from the palm of his hands. It was fucking hilarious how this guy was just hamming it all up. And then, of course, Alexa Bliss. I don't know. She's a babyface at WrestleMania. She's on Raw the next night as a heel, and then she's a babyface again this week. It's like, is she a tweener? What the hell's going on with Alexa Bliss? Bayley and her tag team partner took on the Iconics, which people were like, oh, the Iconics are on Raw. I'm like, yeah, the Iconics are WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. They are pretty much, as long as you were the tag team champions, you are a free agent of the show. Of the shows. You can go from Raw or SmackDown. It doesn't matter. EC3 gets buried by Braun Strowman. Legitimately buried by Braun Strowman. What EC3 has done to the McMahon family, to anybody backstage, is beyond me. This guy has the look. He can talk. He might not be the best in the ring, but you don't have to be the absolute best in the ring to get over or to be viable for WWE. This guy should be great for WWE, and he literally has done nothing. Comes out tonight and just gets obviously buried by Braun Strowman. Becky Lynch took on Ruby Riott as well. Then we got her being challenged by Natalya, and then Lacey Evans comes out, and we finally get to see Lacey Evans in a match. She took on Natalya for the number one contendership and this was important. It was clarified that for the Raw Women's Championship, not the unified, not both championships, Lacey Evans took on Natalya, and the winner of that match takes on Becky Lynch. They didn't say where, they didn't say Money in the Bank, they just said in the future for the Raw Women's Championship. Again, you fucking idiots, the titles are not being unified. It was more clear tonight that the Women's Championships for both Raw and SmackDown are going to stay separate after Becky loses one. Preferably the SmackDown Live Women's Championship compared to the Raw Women's Championship, for the simple fact is I think Becky should be on Raw. Charlotte should get the SmackDown Live Women's Championship and move on from there. And then, of course, we had... Let me see here. We had that number one contenders match. I still don't know why Lacey Evans should even be in a number one contenders match. She hasn't done anything. Braun Strowman and EC3 early in the night, and then we had the six-man tag match of Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin versus Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and one man that I obviously knew was coming to Monday Night Raw. And honestly, I think if he's coming to Raw, Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns needs to go to SmackDown. We'll make follow-up predictions at the end of this review. This show was not the best. This was not any better than last week. I'm going to tell you that right now. This show was no better than last week, even with all the guys and girls. And by the way, they did say that Eric Young of Sanity is coming to Monday Night Raw. So Sanity is dead completely. They were there for a little bit, but they are dead. Some people are asking, well, what are they going to do with Eric Young? They're going to do absolutely nothing with Eric Young. Eric Young is going to be a background player. He's going to be like EC3. You don't see him. He's just there collecting a paycheck. WWE has no plans for him, and we're just going to move on from there. We come to the ring, and Stephanie McMahon is there for a mixed reaction. She welcomes us to Raw. I fucking hate every time she says it. From that first of 2 nights for the Superstar Shakeup, Stephanie calls on to the crowd to give her brother a standing ovation, calling him the best in the world. Out comes Shane to boos, of course. Stephanie jokes about how they are loved in Canada. Shane may ask Mike Rowan to give him a grand introduction from ringside, which he does. Shane wants it done in French this time. Fans chant for CM Punk. Huge chant for CM Punk. It was the second biggest reaction tonight. The first would be when Elias made fun of the Canadians, which we'll get to later. Apparently Rome doesn't speak French. Shane says a few things in French, but fans continue booing him. Shane and Steph go about Shane knowing French, but the "You Suck" chant starts up. I have no idea exactly what he said. If anyone knows exactly what he said in French, let me know in the comment section below, because I don't speak French either. Shane says, Shane and Stephanie go about Shane knowing French. They start chanting. They go to assaulting the crowd before Stephanie announces that every superstar is eligible to be shaken up from now until the end of SmackDown tomorrow. I do say this: Kofi Kingston, Seth Rollins, the Hardys, and Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins are probably exempt because they are SmackDown. The tag team titles have the words SmackDown Live and Raw on them, so they're not going anywhere. And it would be kind of stupid to see Seth Rollins with a red tight strap around his waist coming to SmackDown Live. And the fact that Kofi didn't show up tonight means that those championships are going nowhere. Same thing with the tag team titles. Shane hypes new matchups and tag team possibly splitting up. Stephanie says this is one of her favorite nights of the year, and every superstar begins their journey to WrestleMania 36 tonight. Again, for the second week in a row, and I don't know why they continue this. They're still advertising for us WrestleMania next year, when that is something we got to wait another 360 plus days for. She goes to introduce the first new superstar, but Shane stops her. Shane wants to show some of the great moments that led to WrestleMania 35. And tonight, we see various stills of Shane bullying Miz's dad and beating up the Miz. Stephanie goes and introduces the new Raw superstar, but Miz's music hits to interrupt. Shane readies for the ring, but Miz enters the ring from the side and lays him out. Miz brawls with Shane to the floor, but Shane turns it around by sending him into the ring post. Shane unloads and dumps Miz over the barrier into the crowd. Cole confirms Miz is now on Raw. Miz fights back over the barrier with a steel chair and chases Shane from the ring. Shane retreats up the ramp, limping as Miz raises the chair high in the air. In the ring, fans cheer for the Miz. So, if there's a common theme for the Superstar Shakeup, every single year the Miz has moved from Raw to SmackDown or SmackDown to Raw. He was there in 2016 on SmackDown, came to Raw in 2017, went back to SmackDown in 2018, now he's back on Raw in 2019. This guy just can't find a brand to call his own. Like, seriously, this is the third year in a row that he has switched brands. The only thing he hasn't done is go to 205 Live, which I'm sure he'd go to if he wanted to, or go to NXT, which he probably could if he wanted to. They did hype Becky Lynch versus Ruby Riott later on, as well as Seth Rollins, who remains in a mystery partner from SmackDown Live versus Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and Baron Corbin. Please, oh please, have somebody of the Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and Baron Corbin group go to SmackDown Live and have Seth or Roman go to SmackDown Live. I am sick to death of Seth, Roman, and somebody else versus Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, and Baron Corbin, the three-man brand. We saw it with the Shield at Fastlane. We saw it with the Shield multiple times before Roman got injured last year. It's like, enough of this shit. This is the last night I want to see anything like this. This is not fresh. This is not new. Give me a fucking break. Ricochet, Aleister Black, Zack Ryder, and Kurt Hawkins versus The Revival in a mystery tag team. Again, this will probably be Aleister Black and Ricochet's last time as a team. The thing that board that Aleister Black actually comes up on must be broken or something, because he just walked to the ring, walked from behind like it wasn't there or something, so I don't know what's going on with that. Back from break, and out come the NXT Tag Team Champions, the War Raiders, out. Answer in a row. They do not have their titles, but Cole mentions they are now on the Raw brand, which I don't get why you would bring them up. You still have to figure out what you're going to do with Heavy Machinery. And this, bringing them on to Monday Night Raw, doesn't really help the tag team division. I guess it could, but we'll have to wait and see. I just hope they don't take them and make them into a joke tag team like you have Heavy Machinery, even though Heavy Machinery was more of a comedy team down in NXT as it was. And they're heels. They're wrestling with the heel tag team of the Revival, which I think this will be the Revival's last night on Monday Night Raw for at least a year. Gonna put that out there right now. This match was okay. The War Raiders send Ricochet and Black down to the floor to Hawkins. Hudson and Rowe double team Ryder with the fallout for the big double team leg drop off the top rope for the 1, 2, 3. The Revival and the War Raiders are your winners. The War Raiders stand tall with the Revival as we go to replays. We go to the ring. Out comes WWE Intercontinental Champion Finn Balor. He will face a new Raw superstar coming from the SmackDown brand, picked by the McMahon family. This, of course, is one of the things that was one of these news stories that came out is like the WWE's advertisement of the Superstar Shakeup made no sense because they were saying each brand is going to decide what superstars they're going to want, and there's no... the wording was just off. But yeah, the McMahon family's picking who goes where. This one I saw coming. Back from break, and out comes Andrade Cien Almas with Zelina Vega and WWE Intercontinental Champion Finn Balor. Waits in the ring. Vega and Cien Almas are now on the red brand, as we see. Vega takes the mic on the ramp and introduces them. She also takes shots at Balor for being ordinary. He goes on about how Andrade has been extraordinary on the blue brand for the past year. I don't know what she's been watching, but from what I've seen, Almas has done almost nothing until he started facing Rey Mysterio during the beginning of this year, and we'll get to that in a second because that feud is not going. That feud can continue on Monday Night Raw from what we've seen. He does. Andrade speaks in Spanish as he enters the ring, getting the wet treatment and boos from the fans. Balor is ready for a fight as Andrade Cien Almas enters the ring, running his mouth. The bell rings and they go at it. Nice long match here. Almas runs to a kick in the corner and goes down. Balor goes to the top for a coup de grace, but Andrade moves out of the way. Andrade with a big back elbow. Balor counters his hammerlock DDT with a roll-up for a 2 count. Balor sends Almas to the floor. Vega gets on the apron and taunts Balor for boos. Balor runs the ropes anyway and leaps over Vega. Beautiful looking segment right there. Taking Andrade down to the floor. Vega ends up taking Balor down with a Hurricane Runner while the referee isn't looking. This leads to Andrade Cien Almas hitting the hammerlock DDT in the middle of the ring for a non-title match. After the match, Vega enters the ring to pose with Almas as the music hits, and we go to replays. Vega and Almas celebrate as Balor recovers. Another champion losing on free TV. There's a better way. If this gives Almas a chance at Money in the Bank at the Intercontinental title, whatever. But there are so many better ways to do this. You don't have to have a champion lose on free TV every single fucking time. It's not only heels, it's also babyface teams. You always seen, like the Revival when they were tag champs, lost constantly. The tag team champions of Raw just lost this week in an 8-man tag match against the War Raiders and the Revival. Oh, but the War Raiders are tag team champions and they won. It doesn't matter. They're not the Raw tag team champions, and they didn't even have the tag team championships with them. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? There's no exact reason for this. Having your champions lose does not, it pulls credibility away from those championships. You should always make your champions look strong. And this isn't the way to do it. Elias is in the ring. He talks about his music being powerful enough to bring the Dr. Thuganomics back and the Undertaker back. Fans chanting for the Taker, and Elias says he will be ready for him next time. He says Cena and Taker could be jealous of him, but that they just don't want to face the fact that WWE stands for Walk with Elias. He goes on and says he makes fun of the Montreal Canadiens for not making the playoffs, and it was not as bad as Seattle last year, but the Montreal crowd let him have it. He tried to start playing. He said something to the fact that the next person in the referee won't be able to see their face, won't be able to show their face for a long time. Out comes Rey Mysterio. Fans chant for 619 as they go at it. Elias ends up retreating as Rey stands tall. Rey has come to Raw from SmackDown. Cole confirms that, of course. Why else would Rey Mysterio be on WWE's on Monday Night Raw? Rey's all happy for being on Raw and everything, but out comes Lars Sullivan. Lars looks on from the ramp and smiles as Ray in the middle of the ring. Lars goes to enter the ring, but Ray stops him. Lars makes his way in, but Ray keeps him back with offense. Lars finally manhandles Ray some, but Ray fights free. Ray keeps fighting out of Sullivan's hold until Lars finally drives him in the mouth with the freak accident. Lars grabs Ray again and delivers a gut-wrench sit-out powerbomb. Lars stands tall like a madman as we go to replay. If that's what he's going to do over having to do a top rope headbutt, I'm fine with that. But this kind of makes Matt and Jeff Hardy look really bad. The fact that Rey Mysterio is 35 pounds soaking wet, and he got more offense in on Lars Sullivan than two guys who are almost bigger than Rey Mysterio. Two guys who are like twice the size of Rey Mysterio in height and a little bit like bulkier than him. They got their asses manhandled. I mean, I thought it was great back on Tuesday, but the fact that you have Rey Mysterio come out there and fight valiantly more than what the guys Matt and Jeff Hardy did does not sit well with me. Makes Lars Sullivan look good, and quite honestly, if he's going with a gut-wrench sit-out powerbomb over a diving headbutt, sign me up, because again, the diving headbutt should be outlawed from WWE. I don't want to see superstars doing that again. I don't want to see the glass cow kiss. I don't want to see Tony Storm do the same thing with the headbutt to the head. And I sure as hell don't want to see the diving headbutt. But Lars Sullivan looks like he's on Monday Night Raw. Does not mean I want to see Lars Sullivan show up tomorrow and, oh, he's on SmackDown Live. He's on Raw. He showed up on Raw. That's where he should be. If he shows up on SmackDown tomorrow, then he's not to jump brands after this week. No more brand jumping outside of the Iconics, Becky Lynch, and that's it. No one on Raw should go to SmackDown. When the Superstar Shakeup is over, when we come to Raw next week, nobody from SmackDown is to be on Raw, and nobody on Raw needs to be on SmackDown outside of Becky Lynch, who holds both women's titles right now, and the Iconics, who are the women's tag team title holders. That is it. No one else to move brands. I don't want to hear none of this, oh, if you're a tag team and somebody's on SmackDown, you can... No, none of that shit. The only time a tag team from SmackDown is going to wrestle a tag team from Raw for the women's division is if one of the two holds the tag team titles. It's not that fucking hard. There's no merging the divisions. WWE made it quite plain and clear that Becky is going to be defending both of these titles. We're not going to have an undisputed women's champion, you fucking idiots. I've been trying to say this. Nobody's fucking probably listening. Don't give a shit. There is no merging of the divisions, and anybody who thinks that's a good idea is a fucking moron. I'm sorry. I have to if you don't agree with me, fine, whatever. But if anybody thinks that merging the women's divisions are going to be a good idea, and you're the same people who complain that Ruby Riott doesn't get an opportunity, Ember Moon, who just came back from an injury, doesn't get any opportunities, Carmella and Naomi, none of them are going to get opportunities. If there is one undisputed women's championship, then they will never get opportunities. Get it through your fucking heads. Moving on here. Chad Gable and Bobby Roode come out. Roode takes the mic and begins he talks about how they could be any tag team when they're on their game. Looks like they are pulling down to the world of being heels. Gable says they are on their game tonight. Gable issues a challenge for any other tag team to kind of face them. And I saw this coming. It was actually my first prediction for Monday Night Raw. The Usos are on Monday Night Raw, where they probably should be. Gable, and this was a pretty good match too. Bobby Roode and Chad Gable versus the Usos. Unfortunately, my computer kind of for a minute went towards the end of this match, so I missed out on the end of this match, which sucks as much as all, because I would love to see a full-on match between the Glorious Ones and the Usos, but it looks like the Usos ended up winning. Gable eats a super kick. Jay also super kicks Roode off the apron. Gable takes a double super kick from the Usos. They go up for the opposite corners and hit the double superfly splash for the 1-2-3. I have noticed a trend, though, that for the Glorious Ones, the tag team, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, it seems like Chad Gable's taking all the pinfall losses for this tag team. So, if they do break them up, it looks like that's the way you're going to have Chad Gable get beat down by Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode's going to blame him for being the weaker of the two. He wasn't glorious enough, or he wasn't good enough for this team. And that's where that could lead to, especially if both of these guys are on SmackDown or Raw. I think these guys should go to SmackDown. I could be wrong. Of course, they have to go over the recent return of Roman Reigns because the Roman agenda is still here. When we have the moment of bliss segment with Sami Zayn. This one, I usually don't like these things because they're cringy as fuck. But Sami Zayn, though, my word, this guy has got the crowd in the... Just got the crowd in the palm of his hand. She said she wanted to give the crowd the final night on. She said this could be her final night on Raw. She wanted to give a proper goodbye in French, which is why she booked Montreal's own Sami Zayn for her guest. She introduces Sami and outcomes to a big pop, playing up to the crowd on the stage. Sami and the crowd had so much fun doing his entrance, they do it again. Sami takes a bow as fans continue cheering for him and singing along. Fans chant for Sami as his music stops and he takes a seat. They start the music up again and Sami gets into it once again, as does the crowd. Sami refers to the crowd as fish in a barrel and says, I'm just going to hammer it up some more. He keeps controlling them, saying he can do this all night. Says some stuff in French that I, again, don't know what the hell he said. Crowd goes completely crazy. Bliss said it's fantastic to have him back on Raw. Sami talks about spending the last week in Montreal and says he absolutely loves the city. The city is great. He just doesn't like the people. And the fans go and boo the hell out of him. Sami Zayn went from hero to villain in gone in 60 seconds. The guy was hammering it up. The crowd was just eating out of the palm of his hands. I'm sitting there laughing this guy has got these guys hook, line, and sinker, and he's just going to pull that hook right out and just make them all suffer. But Sami says he really doesn't want to be here tonight, and he didn't want to do Bliss's show. No offense. Bliss says he's rude. Sami says 9 months ago he would have been excited to come down, but now the cheers make him sick. Fans taunting him with the anti-Sami chants now. Sami says the fans project their unaddressed issues, their failures and angers onto him, and he's no longer accepting it. Sami says it's disgusting and everyone should be ashamed of themselves. Bliss mocks Sami and taunts him for trying to blame everything on the people. Sami corrects her and says he was born here, but he doesn't live here. These aren't his people. He doesn't live here anymore. He moved to sunny Florida, Orlando, which, of course, if anybody is from Canada and comes back, especially in the wrestling business, and says they don't live here anymore, they moved to Florida, that's going to be like a heat magnet right then and there. He says he chose to leave Montreal before. He's going to do it right now. The fans start chanting, na 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 na, hey, goodbye. Yeah, see you in hell. Sami walks out to the back. We go to commercial break. Just love this heel work by Sami. The fact that I usually don't like the whole, false babyface hood, but the fact that he's intentionally playing the fans off like this, playing to the crowd, doing the Olay chant as loud as he could to get them to do it, and he's just the crowd, he's got this crowd in the palm of his hands, hook, line, and sinker, and they just look like just idiots for falling for Sami Zayn. This was just hilarious and absolutely fucking great. Back from break, and the women's tag team champions, the Idiotics, are here. Kane West and Billie Kay. We see backstage video from earlier today where Bayley couldn't find Sasha or get in touch with her, which they're playing up with Sasha wanting to leave and being sent home to decide what she wants to do. This led to Bayley promising the Idiotics that she would find a partner for later tonight. Bayley makes her way to the stage and to introduce her partner, Naomi, which I also predicted was going to be coming to Raw for the simple fact that Naomi, husband Jimmy, is also on Monday Night Raw, but they never used to do that in the old Shakeup, the old draft and everything. They would split couples up for the hell of it. Something like with the fact that the Usos just signed 5-year deals, I think they want to make the Usos and Naomi happy. So Team Day One Glowish is still together. This match lasted not even 2 minutes. The bell rings as Bayley unloads on Billie Kay. To start, Graves mentioned how Banks lost her ball and quit. Went home. Oh, Banks lost her ball and quit and went home. Oh, I see where they're going with that. Yeah, they're definitely playing up with that. Bayley takes Kay to the corner and in comes Naomi out the tag. Baton ends up coming in and keeping Naomi grounded in the middle of the ring. Naomi fights off both opponents as Bayley comes in for the assist. They take out Peyton. Naomi hits the split-legged moonsault for the 1, 2, 3. I swear it was like you blink and you miss it. You took the titles off the Boston Hub Connection and gave them to the Idiotics, only for them to beat and put their titles on the line against a tag team of jobbers to go up against a makeshift tag team of Naomi and Bayley, and they lose in less than 2 minutes. Anybody who wants to see women's tag team championships on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live, and anybody who thinks WWE fucking cares about the women's tag team titles, this right here shows you they don't give a fuck about the women's tag team titles. We go to the ring, and EC3 is waits for his opponent because he wants competition. He is tired of sitting back in the stage, not doing anything, being a statue. Out comes Braun Strowman, and he literally beats the hell out of him. He beats the hell out of him. Takes him up to the top of the stage. It just drops him through a bunch of tables, crashing through a part of the stage, and he stands tall as if he starts up. The match never began. You want to say burial? This was this was EC3 saying, fuck, I'm out of here. See ya. Bury me. I don't care. It would not surprise me if EC3, whenever his contract comes up, which is probably next year or something, or if he gets his release, it would not be surprised if EC3 gets released by WWE. This guy came into NXT, really didn't get to do much there because he was just in wrong place, wrong time. Had EC3 come to NXT a year before, I think he would have been a much bigger name. This has got to be somebody in the back, realizing that this was Derek Bateman, and he wanted that to TNA, became Ethan Carter III, became a big name there, a world champion there, multiple times. I think he's like a 2-3 time TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Came back to WWE, and now we're just going to punish him for going over there and becoming a name for himself. This is just, if that's the case, WWE is just showing Vince McMahon's pettiness. Out came the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch. Starts up while Braun Strowman is standing tall on the stage. Becky comes out, trades looks with Braun, and keeps walking through the ring as fans pop and we go to commercial. Becky Lynch versus Ruby Riott. Where do you think this match is going to go? Disarmer, tap out, Becky wins. After the match, Liv and Logan hit the ring, but Becky takes them out. Becky raises both titles in the air as we go to pop. Charlie Caruso is backstage with Baron Corbin, Leo Rush, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre, the three-man bland, and their manager, Little Runt. Corbin out. Charlie was sent to SmackDown. She asked about tonight's main event. Drew says he doesn't care. He only cares about getting his hands on Roman Reigns. Corbin brags on WWE running WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle out of WWE and says he will run Seth Rollins and Reigns out tonight. Rush takes a shot at them and their mystery partner before the group walks off. Now, before we get to the end of this show, if you don't realize who's going to be the mystery partner, then I don't know what to tell you. Out comes Natalya, who makes her way to the ring. Becky Lynch is still in there, back to commercial. They aired the Laughing Buzzard vignette earlier tonight after a commercial break, believed to be a teaser for Bray Wyatt. There was a new teaser later on in the show that was more towards Bray Wyatt than the Laughing Buzzard. Back on the break, and we get the WrestleMania 636 promo for whatever reason. That should be the night of WrestleMania, the nights after WrestleMania, and then the week of the Superstar Shakeup, we move on to next year. We don't worry about WrestleMania till we get to the Royal Rumble. Nadia congratulates Becky on tonight's win and on the WrestleMania 35 main event. She goes about saying she dreamed about main eventing WrestleMania, and that Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda did for the women in the main event, and how Becky became the first woman to pin Rousey and the first woman to win both women's titles in the same night. Natalya brings up last week's promo where Becky talked about having 2 targets on her back now. Natalya says she's here to look Becky in the eye and let her know that she's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Becky steps to Natalya. Natalya says she's coming, and this was important. This was very important to anybody who says that they're going to merge the titles. She only wants the Raw Women's Championship. Again, Natalya only wants to come after the Raw Women's Championship, meaning the Women's Championships will not be merged for the millionth time. I keep saying this. Everyone wants to say, oh no, they're going to merge the championships. It's the best for everybody. No, it's not. Becky Lynch was on was interviewed by, I don't remember who the interviewer was. She was interviewed before SmackDown Live and asked, should there only be one championship for the women? And she's like, no, there's no point. There are 2 divisions. Why the fuck would you do that? She didn't say that, but I'm improvising. Why would you do that? That is pointless. That is less. That is less for the women to fight for. So if you had the undisputed women's championship and the women's tag team titles, that's only 2 championships. You have 3. Becky is going to lose one of those. Probably, hopefully not to who is her first contender for the Raw Women's Championship. But that is how that goes. Becky says she spent years in trenches with overlooked people like Natalya. Becky knows those overlooked women will be hunting her down, but now that's the nature of the business. Becky was on the fans chant, "You deserve it," at her. Becky thanks them, but mentions how Natalya helped build, and it would be her honor. And out comes Lacey Evans. Evans takes the mic and says, "The scene in here is just adorable." God, was her fun. Like, Lacey Evans can't cut a promo to save her life. She is just awful. Evans says, admires Natalya's ambition, but the title can't be around the waist of a classless has-been like Natalya. Evans tells them to stop this nonsense and talking about a title match because she's already used her influences to get what she wants. There you go, right there. Showing you that WWE is pinpointing her to be one of the top. She is officially on the Raw roster. She says that she wants now as a Raw Women's title. Emily announced, per the McMahon family, she will now face Natalya, and the winner of that match will earn a title shot. Evans tells Natalya to stand by because she's about to educate her with a woman's right. She tells Lynch to pay attention because she feels like a lady can teach the man a thing or two. And then we have Lacey Evans versus Natalya. I was so hoping they would not go this route. Which, the smart money coming in right now, or the early betting odds for women's Money in the Bank, is Lacey Evans to win it. Well, if this match, if Lacey Evans is getting Becky Lynch at Money in the Bank, that bet is out the window. They're on the floor, Natalya drives Evans into the barrier, having words with her. Evans goes back into the ring, and Natalya follows. Evans catches Natalya in the face with the woman's right and lays her out. The reason she didn't go for the pinfall was what I said last week for both shows. The woman's right has been diminished as a finisher for the simple fact is you had your Raw and you had your women's champions, your SmackDown and women's champion, Becky Lynch, no sell the women's right. So how can anyone else decide that they're going to sell it? So what did she do? She goes up, hits a springboard, she was a face forward, she did a spin around moonsault for the 1, 2, 3. Lacey Evans beats Natalya. I don't like Lacey Evans as a wrestler, but I'm going to say this right now. Hey, Charlotte Flair. You should take lessons on how to take a moonsault from Lacey Evans because still, the only thing that I actually think she does well is a moonsault, and she does it way better than Charlotte Flair ever will. After the match, Charlie Caruso approaches Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns to ask about tonight's mystery partner. But she has to wait. Rollins talks about how good life is for them now, but life is going to be so good for their opponent tonight. Rollins says they didn't forget what Bobby Lashley did to their brother Dean Ambrose. People are wondering, Dean Ambrose staying is confirmed. He's still under contract until the end of the month. So WWE and Dean Ambrose is their property. Their intellectual property. If they want to mention the name Dean Ambrose all they want, even if Jonathan Good leaves the company, they have every damn right to do so. They're doing a Shield Last Stand this Sunday. So they're going to do that. They're going to use that as much as they can and as much as they want. They're going to say, regardless if this is the last night on Raw or not, they're going to tear Montreal up. Seth is going nowhere. Roman is a different story, and I'll explain why in a minute. Main event, out comes Drew McIntyre. Back from break, we get together with the Wacky Puppy vignette. This one was weird because it was a dollhouse. There was a dollhouse, and it was like barely lit, and you see a rocking chair just rocking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Right, like it was silhouetted out. All you saw was a little bit of the rocking chair, but whatever was sitting in it was not a human. First off, it was a doll. And second, you couldn't see it until the light flashed on it or appeared on it, and it was a girl. It was a little girl. And it was an animatronic, and it started laughing. And I'm like, is this Sister Abigail? So it definitely is Bray Wyatt. What they're doing with him, I don't know. Is he going to be the master of puppets? God, Bray Wyatt, the master of puppets. Could you imagine? Then we get the grand introduction from Baron Corbin. Then out came Bobby Lashley. Roman Reigns as out next. I believe he was booed. Seth Rollins as well. Out comes AJ Styles. saw this one coming a mile away. If you didn't see this one coming, I don't know what to tell you, but AJ Styles to Monday Night Raw has been talked about for at least every year since the brand split started. Vince McMahon has wanted AJ Styles on Monday Night Raw. I don't know why he didn't jump for it in 2017. I know he couldn't jump for it last year because AJ Styles was currently WWE Champion, so that was like anybody who wanted AJ to stay on SmackDown last year was like he's WWE Champion, and of course Brock was Universal Champion, and there was no way you were switching those guys around, so people were definitely probably relieved about that. But with the fact that he is no longer WWE Champion and not in the WWE Championship title picture, AJ Styles coming to WWE to Monday Night Raw was a foregone conclusion. And quite honestly, not much you really could do. Like, you're not going to build SmackDown around AJ Styles, get a bunch of guys he could use to face. This was like the only thing you really could do. It is a bummer that AJ Styles has been. It's like you can't have AJ Styles say the house that AJ Styles built anymore for SmackDown Live. So let's see. That was that. And then we have the 6-man tag match. Again, this is just the typical Shield. Like, this is the Shield minus Dean Ambrose plus AJ Styles and the 3-man blend. We saw it Fastlane, except not as crazy. Or any other time we've seen it on Monday Night Raw last year. Did you really think AJ Styles was coming to Monday Night Raw with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns to lose his first match? No. After the match, the winner stays tall as Bobby Lashley gets hit with a stomp, a spear, and a phenomenal forearm for the 1-2-3. Rollins raises the title while standing in the middle of the ring with Reigns and Styles. The Superstar Shakeup edition of Raw goes off the air with Styles, Rollins, and Reigns standing together. So the first half of the Superstar Shakeup is in the books. Raw got themselves a good bit. Oh yeah, by the way, Cedric Alexander is coming to Monday Night Raw. He was in a vignette. I forgot to mention that one. He is coming to Monday Night Raw. But honestly, I think it's well overdue. And it shows that, and it's great to see, and I like that this happens, is that the Cruiserweight division, 205 Live, is not going to be, like the superstars of 205 Live are not going to be pigeonholed in 205 Live forever. Not everyone's going to be able to move, but guys like Cedric Alexander, like Mustafa Ali, hopefully Buddy Murphy, because honestly, there's nothing left for him to do on 205 Live, so I would love to see him. I know he's going to be facing the Velveteen Dream for the NXT North American Championship, which stems from a altercation that was posted on, I believe, Velveteen Dream's social media platforms during WrestleMania after Buddy Murphy lost the Cruiserweight Championship. Buddy Murphy was coming into frame of Velveteen Dream's video that he was doing. He made fun of the fact that Buddy Murphy lost the Cruiserweight Championship. So that is why that match is happening. Would we see Buddy Murphy go back to NXT? No, but I would like to see Buddy Murphy show up tomorrow night on SmackDown Live. I honestly think Roman Reigns needs to go to SmackDown. Why? Roman needs to go to SmackDown because of two reasons. One, you do not need to have Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns on the same brand anymore. And it's probably going to happen, if Dean Ambrose is 100% leaving, then we don't need to see 2/3 of the Shield anymore. Now, another reason that you would put Roman on SmackDown Live, because Kofi Kingston is 100% a transitional champion. 100%. 100% he's 100% a transitional champion. When he loses that title at Money in the Bank or the pay-per-view after that, he's not in, like, by the time SummerSlam's over, going into Fox, Vince McMahon is going to want to have one of his big superstars, the biggest superstar that Vince feels is that they need to have the face of, be the brand's champion, and that's going to be Roman Reigns. Roman's going to SmackDown is the only way that makes sense. So, okay, so Aleister Black, Ricochet, I guess Aleister Black and Ricochet are actually staying on Raw brand, which makes absolutely no sense. So Aleister Black, Ricochet, Lars Sullivan, and EC3 are now on the same brand, are all on the Raw brand, which makes absolutely no sense. So Aleister Black and Ricochet are probably going to stay in the tag team division, which makes no sense. AJ Styles to Raw, Lacey Evans to Raw, Ricochet from the Raw, Aleister Black to Raw, EC3 to Raw, Lars Sullivan to Raw, Eric Young goes to Raw, Naomi, the Usos, The Miz, Rey Mysterio, Andrade Cien Almas, Cedric Alexander, NXT Tag Team Champions, the War Raiders, and that is it so far. But yes. So Ricochet and Aleister Black going to Raw makes no sense. One needed to stay on Raw, one needed to go to SmackDown. They need to be separated. But yes, Roman Reigns needs to go to SmackDown. The Revival, which I mentioned yesterday, go check that out, needs to go to SmackDown. The SmackDown Tag Team Division has a hole in it now with the Usos coming over to Monday Night Raw. Having the Usos on Raw with the Revival sounds like a great thing on paper. That would be awesome. The Usos versus the Revival. Give these guys a pay-per-view match for the tag team titles. I could honestly see it happening. But the fact that the Usos were the flag bearers for SmackDown Live's tag team division for 3 years just tells me that the Usos going to Raw means the Revival going to SmackDown. And the Revival versus the Hardys would be nice to see again, which I don't think we actually saw very much of on Monday Night Raw last year, other than once or twice maybe. So that would be another one. Ember Moon, as I mentioned yesterday, should still be going to SmackDown. Nikki Cross looks to be going to SmackDown. She was not mentioned as being on Raw, so it would be interesting to see her and her husband, Killian Dane, on the same brand. That's probably why that's happening. Eric Young coming to Raw, I don't know what they're going to do with him. As I said, I think it's just going to be him getting turned into a comedy character, because when Eric Young was by himself in Impact Wrestling, the times that Eric Young was by himself, Eric Young really was never by himself, but usually he was a comedy character. They tried to make him the Daniel Bryan of Impact Wrestling when they had him have his beard be grown out and everything. Gave him the world title after being a comedy character for like 10 years. That didn't work out. Don't know what they're going to do with him, and it sucks to see. Hopefully this is a breakout time for Killian Dane, and Killian Dane, who could, to me, look like somebody who could be a massive character for WWE, is definitely going to go. Obviously, Samoa Joe and Finn Balor are not moving anywhere, because if Samoa Joe was coming to Raw with the Intercontinental or with the U.S. title, then Finn Balor would be going to SmackDown. But since that didn't happen, those titles are not moving. Heavy Machinery looks like they're going to be on SmackDown because they went on Raw, unless something happens. Even though the Superstar Shakeup is done for now for Raw, it does not mean we won't see, before SmackDown, other superstars, like minor superstars, being brought over. I mean, last year when Ty Dillinger not Ty Dillinger, R-Truth was brought to SmackDown in the wee hours of the night. By the time this recording's over with, the Raw side could still be getting superstars. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, those are your Superstar Shakeup reviews. The show on its own was okay. I'm still not happy with what they did with the War Raiders. You can't break if something's not broken, why fix it? I mean, yeah, having Big E Langston become Big E, that's fine. Having Antonio Cesaro become Cesaro, that's fine. Sheamus O'Shaughnessy being Sheamus, which was not something we saw on the main roster. Having Andrade Cien Almas be Andrade, not gonna play with me that way. Same thing with Mustafa Ali. He's gonna be Mustafa Ali on here. I'm not saying that name. It's going to be Hanson and the War Raiders. I'd rather go with War Machine, but what the fuck ever, they're going to be the War Raiders. That's what they've been in for a year in NXT. That's what they're going to be. If it's good enough for NXT, it's good enough for Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live. Get over yourself, Vince. Fuck you. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Follow me on Twitter at TheFrontClub. I had to fix that. Follow me on Twitter on Facebook, twitch.tv/TheFront08. I will see you guys tomorrow for SmackDown Live, and it looks like we're going to have to change that overlay a little bit because I know AJ Styles is on there. Until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow. That's Wednesday for NXT, and then, of course, Saturday for Unscripted. Until then, my name is The Front, and I'm getting out of here.